NTA International News.
President Muhammadu Buhari receives Indian Vice President, says Nigeria will scale up bilateral relations with India. Information Minister reaffirms Nigeria's commitment to tourism development. Plus, National Human Rights Commission advocates a review of Armed Forces Act. Hello there and a warm welcome to NTA International News on this hour. My name is Justin Bemunyi and glad to have you join us. President Muhammadu Buhari Tuesday in Abuja said Nigeria will continue to expand its relationship with India in the areas of health, education, agriculture, technology and trade. Receiving the Indian Vice President Muhammad Hamid Ansari at the State House, President Buhari said Nigeria has over the years benefited from the cooperation of the Asian country in trade and investment, agriculture, technology and the fight against terrorism. The president welcomed the proposed investment of $5 billion in the Nigerian economy by the business delegation that accompanied the vice president, noting that India had already invested $10 billion in the economy. President Buhari said Nigeria would emulate the Asian country's agricultural model and capacity to feed its 1 billion population and also export to other countries, describing the country as sustainable and prosperous. Indian Vice President said his country, which is leading buyer of Nigeria's crude oil, will increase its purchase of the commodity in addition to natural gas. The National Assembly will continue to protect the interests of Nigerians and ensure that they are not shortchanged by the actions or inactions of government agency. The Chairman Senate Committee of FCT, Dino Melaye, stated these at a meeting with the FCT Minister and the Chief of Army Staff over the alleged acquisition of portion of land in Maitama district by the Army. National Assembly correspondent Ifeanyi Ezumba reports.
The committee said the committee received a petition by some persons claiming ownership of the plot that soldiers at the entrance of the district were acting on the order by their superiors to take over the plots.
And we as a Senate and the National Assembly have appropriated funds for the construction of infrastructure in those places, and now there's hindrance to the implementation of the budget. We also must not allow a situation whereby a stubborn citizen say, I have my CFO, and we go there, and the army will now descend on some innocent Nigerians.
The Minister of FCT, Mohammed Bello, requested that the committee give them time to put heads together with the Nigerian army on the matter.
Whoever has a CFO has full ownership of that land. Whoever has a grant has partial ownership until he or she has or had paid all the relevant fees. So for all intents and purposes, I think all allottees of plots in the area called Metamalero should have no fear.
The land used to be our training area and the land reserved for future development.
There are no documentary evidence has been adduced to the fact that it belongs to them. So we expect that something will be done in this army-civilian relationship.
The Nigerian Army and the FCT Ministry were given a period of 2 weeks to negotiate and report back to the committee the rightful owner of the 238 hectares of land in question. From the National Assembly, Ifeanyi Ezumba, NT News.
And meanwhile, the House of Representatives has passed for second reading a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of state police in Nigeria. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nko reports that the House also passed for third reading a bill for an act to establish a forest research institute in Nigeria.
Or against the amendment of Section 214 of the 1999 Constitution, which seeks to establish state police in Nigeria, has been on for a long time. At present, members of the House are in support of it, as the bill to that effect, sponsored by Representative Abiodun Awoleye from Oyo State, passed second reading.
So this amendment is seeking to delete the word force and replace by service. And again, to ensure that we have state police establishment in all the states of the Federation.
It is also a fact that the movement of the police from one place to the other, one point to the other, does not allow the officers and staff to actually understand the terrain very well where they work.
A bill for an act to amend the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure Act, which seeks to ensure fair hearing for any member accused of defaulting, sponsored by Representative Benny Lar from Plateau State, passed second reading.
The bill in Section 2, subsection 18 of the Principal Act seeks to say that no person shall be removed pursuant to this section without before being given an opportunity to appear before a disciplinary committee duly constituted for this purpose.
Support that the element of fair hearing should be inserted in this bill, and it will help us, because sometimes it will cure the ill from victimization, because sometimes people just trump up some charges against workers.
Members urge the federal government to stop the importation of military and paramilitary uniforms and gadgets and turn to local production as a way of saving cost of governance, as moved by Representative Prestige Osi from Abia State.
Recall that the estimated budget for the procurement of uniforms and other wearing apparel of Nigerian military and paramilitary services as contained in 2015-2016 appropriation bills are as follows. The Nigerian Army, in the 2015 appropriation, they had 487.6 million naira appropriated, but in 2016 they have 2 billion naira.
The House received 5 reports from its Committee on Public Petitions. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Away from legislative matters now, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed says Nigeria is opened to the world for investment in the tourism sector of the nation's economy. The minister said this year's World Tourism Day celebration in Lagos. Anthony Forson reports that the event also witnessed the unveiling of Eco Atlantic City.
Rising off the coast is the world's fastest developing megacity, the Eco Atlantic City, a 21st century city that will provide vital real estate for people to live and work in the future financial capital of West Africa. Located adjacent to Victoria Island and Lekki in Lagos, Nigeria, it is situated on a 10 million square meters of land and protected by an 8.5 kilometer sea wall. When completed, it will have the largest shopping mall in sub-Saharan Africa, an international academy, and a district that will be one of the most prestigious and desirable hubs of Eco Atlantic City. At a press conference to commemorate this year's World Tourism Day, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed said the federal government is determined to make tourism viable, hence the choice of this year's celebration with Eco Atlantic City.
While I would like to reiterate Nigeria's readiness to explore and exploit tourism for the benefit of its economy, I can confidently add that Eco Atlantic City has what it takes to drive tourism in Nigeria.
Earlier, Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode, who was represented by his deputy, Idayat Adebule, said Lagos State is a tourism investment haven.
The ambience of the state is a natural attraction for investors in the hospitality and recreation sector.
27th of September every year has been set aside as World Tourism Day, a day to draw greater attention to tourism development around the world. In Lagos, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
In its quest to ensure that the Nigerian military plays a key role in the promotion and protection of human rights, the National Human Rights Commission is engaging the top echelon of the Nigerian Army to see the need for the review of the Armed Forces Act. Defense correspondent Isaac Nkuma reports that this is the main thrust of the Nigerian Military Human Rights Dialogue holding in Abuja.
With the series of allegations of human rights violation by the nation's armed forces and the administration of military justice system, which have generated a lot of criticisms, this forum provides a platform for the public and the human rights community to practically understand how it works with the military when it comes to dispensation of justice. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tuku Buratai, who was represented, says the Nigerian Army, in its desire to observe the rule of law in all its activities, has established in all Army divisions across the country a human rights desk.
The operational powers of the Nigerian Army are enshrined in Section 217, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999.
This development, human rights watchers say, can be integrated to the codes, educational system, field training, operations and disciplinary procedures of the Nigerian military.
Today we have a situation whereby our military, the Nigerian military, not only responds to questions from internal institutions, but are ever ready to respond to summons issued to them in order to provide accountability for their actions.
So we hope that at the end of this, the military will agree that, we need to look again at the military justice setup and then see how we can make it relevant to the present security needs of Nigeria.
The Nigerian Armed Forces Act was last reviewed in 2004. In Abuja, Isaac Nkuma, NTA News.
Partnerships, new technology, better operations, improvement in infrastructure and significant service delivery are some of the major issues taking center stage at the 39th International Civil Aviation Organization Assembly in Montreal, Canada. Joy Osago reports that Nigeria's Minister of State Aviation, Hadi Abubakar Sirika, is attending the session with relevant heads of parastatals in the sector.
As the 39th session of the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, gets underway, the leadership of the Council continues to remind member states of the importance of partnerships in the face of current global challenges in the aviation sector. The President of the Council, Dr. Olumuyiwa Bernard Aliyu, and the Secretary General, Dr. Fang Liu, laid emphasis on the importance of safety, security, and sustainability in the air transport system.
We therefore need greater commitments on behalf of all parties to partner and finance sustainable aviation development. And we also need better coordination among donors and partners to improve the efficiency, consistency, and certainty surrounding investment in aviation projects.
The No Country Left Behind campaign is high on the scale of preference, as ICAO is determined to assist the member states in the implementation of the organization's international standards and recommended practices and policies. The big issue is how to deliver on the sustainability agenda. Nigeria's Minister of State Aviation, Hadi Abubakar Sirika, and heads of parastatals in the aviation sector are attending the meeting. The minister will be presenting a statement in the course of the 39th session. In Montreal, Quebec, Canada, Joy Usiagu, NTA News.
And from the agricultural sector comes a report that the United Development Bank has set aside $1 billion to create over 8 million agribusiness jobs for youths in Africa. This is coming as the United States Agency for International Development pledges to support agricultural policy of the federal government with $12.5 million.
It is really, I think, probably the greatest challenge that stands before us if we are going to see economic growth in Nigeria.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has expressed its readiness to conduct a credible Edo State governorship election scheduled to hold Wednesday. Director of Voter Education and Publicity, Oluwole Osaze, stated this on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria while discussing update on Edo governorship election. Joy Uzo has the details.
The Edo State governorship election was earlier scheduled for the 10th of this month, but was postponed to the 28th on the ground of security concerns. INEC Director of Voter Education and Publicity, Oluwole Osaze Uzi, confirmed that necessary logistics arrangements have been put in place for a free and fair election in Edo State.
People have grown to realization that if there was indeed a security threat, then we should really make sure that is curtailed, and that has been the greatest challenge. But I believe the people of Edo State will turn out en masse to cast their votes for whichever of the candidates they so decide to.
The Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 5, Isaac Eke, also reiterated the readiness of the security agencies to ensure a peaceful election in the state. He, however, dismissed the rumor about the arrest of targeted opponents in the state.
The police has 25,000 men deployed for this exercise. Ours is to ensure that criminals are not allowed to truncate this election.
The AIG advised travelers passing through Edo State to use alternative routes to their destination, as a 12-hour restriction of vehicular movement will be enforced. In Abuja, Joy Uzo, NTA News.
Still on the election, the Inspector General of Police has ordered the activation of the revised operational plan for Edo State governorship election slated for tomorrow. A statement by the police public relations officer, Don Awuda, says the IGP assured the people of Edo State that the operational plan will guarantee free, fair and credible election. While advising the people of Edo State to be law-abiding, he warned them to refrain from any action capable of jeopardizing the existing peace and security in the state. The IGP also directed the Commissioner of Police in Edo State to ensure the restriction of vehicular movement from 12 midnight Tuesday 27 September to 6 p.m. 28 September 2016, except those involved in essential duties who must be properly identified. You are watching the news on NT International, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. We have more stories for you after this break. Please stay with us.
Why don't you people sell imported materials here? As beautiful as the shop is.
Auntie, buying foreign goods does not help our economy. Neither does it boost local production. And the good thing is Nigerian-made products are high quality. Really? And to make Nigeria great again, that is why I only sell made in Nigeria products. Because change begins with me.
I'm convinced. Change begins with me too! Change begins with me.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Thanks for being there on NT International News. Now, Muplan Dakok is standing by with reports from the financial sector.
Hello there, and thanks for joining us on Business News. The World Trade Organization, WTO, has cut its forecast for global trade growth from 2.8 to 1.7%, the slowest pace of trade and output growth since the 2009 financial crisis. Africa and Middle East received the biggest downgrades of -2.8%. The forecast given by the Director General of the WTO, Roberto Azevedo, Tuesday, reflects the slowdown in countries like China and Brazil and lower levels of imports into the United States of America. Global and domestic commodity prices have continued to increase amidst the fall in crude oil prices and the incessant weakening of the naira. Here are the prices of some commodities on the global and domestic markets. And the Nigerian Stock Exchange closed on a negative note Tuesday as the all-share index depreciated. Here are the closing figures. The stock market wraps up this segment. The news continues. I am Muplang Dakok.
And a report just coming in says the federal government has signed a memorandum of understanding with India to further strengthen bilateral relations between the two countries. Vice President Yemi Oshibanjo says the meeting with visiting Vice President of India, Mohammad Hamid Ansari, was fruitful. Details of this report will come in our subsequent bulletin. U.S. presidential candidates have been trading words over race and Iraq war on TV duel. Details of these and more with Obiageli Ugoke on news from other parts of the globe.
The two U.S. presidential candidates, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, have clashed in the first debate of the election. Clinton accused her Republican rival of sexism and tax avoidance, while Trump, businessman making his first run for a public office, repeatedly cast his opponent as a career politician and demanded that she should account for her time in government. Analysts say the 90 minutes televised face-off is the most anticipated moment in the election campaign. However, polls suggest that the race has been tightened in the past few weeks, with Hillary Clinton holding a narrow lead. In Gabon, Ali Bongo is said to be sworn in after the Constitutional Court confirmed his victory in August presidential elections. The presidency said the ceremony will be held at the presidential palace in the capital, Libreville. And Colombia President Juan Manuel Santos and Marxist rebel leader Timochenko have signed an agreement ending a half-century war that killed millions of people and made their nation a byword for violence. The agreements will bring to an end Latin America's largest running conflict, which started in 1964. Guests included United Nations Chief Ban Ki-moon, Gabon President Raul Castro, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, and victims of the conflicts. Obiageli Ugweke, NTA News.
And talking sports now, Nigeria's Flamingos are now in Jordan ahead of the opening game against Brazil in the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup. As more states register medals at the ongoing second National Youth Games in Ilorin, Kwara State. Ayodeji Makinde reports.
Nigeria's national under-17 female team, the Flamingos, are now in Jordan ahead of their opening game at the 2016 FIFA Women's World Cup scheduled to take place in the Middle Eastern country. The team, which left Abuja on Monday, includes 21 players, coaching crew and backroom staff. Nigeria will face Brazil on October the 1st at the King Abdullah Stadium, Amman, before traveling to Dhaka 3 days later to face England and wrap up group play against North Korea on October the 8th.
There are 16 countries that qualify for World Cup in Jordan. Everybody, if you ask him today, he will tell you that he is going to win. So Nigeria Flamingos cannot be exceptional.
And from Ilorin comes a report that Emmanuel Igioye from Kwara State edged out Oluwaseyi Ogunjimi with 6 points to 5 to claim gold medal in the para-table tennis at the second National Youth Games. Kehinde Lamidi reports that Michael Oladipo from Ogun State won gold in Scrabble male event, while Bassi from Akwa Ibom claimed gold in the female event. Kaduna State, however, emerged champions in cricket after defeating Kwara by 10 wickets. And in continuing efforts to discover more talents in basketball, Model Secondary School Maitama in brown jersey placed third in the 2016 Power Forward project after defeating Divine Mercy Secondary School Asokoro in both the boys and girls categories Tuesday at the Abuja National Stadium. Government Secondary School Gariki and Government Secondary School Airport meet in the boys' final Thursday, while Government Secondary School Zone 3 face Rahina Model College Jikoyi in the girls' final.
We use basketball as a tool to teach these kids how to basically improve their lives.
Stakeholders, including the National Basketball Association, NBA, are using the game to teach and mentor 300 students from 10 schools within the Federal Capital Territory. With sports updates, Ayodeji, Makinde, NTA News.
Time now for a quick check on Wednesday weather prospect for some Nigerian world cities. And before we end the news, here is a recap of some of our top stories. You heard that Nigeria and India are to scale up bilateral relations as President Muhammadu Buhari receives a visiting Indian Vice President. We also told you that Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to tourism development as he canvasses foreign investors' interests in the sector to boost the economy. And that's the news. Thank you very much for being there. I'm Justin Bem Unyi.